My name's Tyler, and I'm in one heck of a mess right now. My wife Jayda and I have been together since we were just a couple of kids ourselves. Got hitched last year, and now we've got ourselves a beautiful baby girl, Mia. She's the apple of our eyes. Now my best bud, Stephanie, she used to live down the block from us. Started hanging out with Jayda and me on the regular a few years back. At first, Steph wasn't too keen on me. Said I was too clingy and all up in their business. I mean, I got my issues. I'm bipolar, got the tism, and some PTSD to boot. Makes me a bit socially clumsy, you know. But Jayda loves me anyhow, quirks and all. Anyhow, the three of us were thick as thieves for a while there. Hanging at our place, catching flicks, checking out the local scene. Good times. Course, I always made sure to plan some special nights just for me and my lady love too. Well, wouldn't you know it, back in January we found out Jayda was cooking up a little bun in the oven. Crazy, right? She was working at this burger joint, hurling her guts out one day. Went to see the doc and bam, 8 weeks along already. So Jayda had to put her nose to the grindstone, getting prepped for mommyhood and all. Meant less time for gabbing with Stephanie. She and I tied the knot quick as a wink after finding out we were going to be parents. That's when stuff started going sideways. Jayda enrolled in school, trying to get her foot in the door as a paralegal. Wants to be a big-shot lawyer someday. Plus, she's playing stay-at-home mom and juggling classes. Busy as a one-armed paper hanger, I tell you. So this one time, I get a text from Stephanie. Wants to chat. Says she's all in a tizzy. I take the call even though Jayda was giving me the stink eye. Few minutes later, I tell Jayda that Steph's old man is on the warpath and we gotta go get her. Jayda's not happy, seeing as how we were in the middle of a movie and she'd just put Mia down for the night. We hightail it to Stephanie's place and bring her back to crash with us. As Jayda's settling Mia back down, Steph asks to join us for a cuddle puddle in our bed. Jayda wasn't too keen on the idea, gets claustrophobic because of some bad juju from when she was a kid. But I gave the thumbs up. Next morning, Steph's pops apologized, so she moseyed on home. Soon as she was out the door, Jayda reamed me out good. Said what I did was not just inappropriate, but stomped all over her boundaries. But here's where it gets real juicy. Ever since then, anytime Steph has beef with her dad, she rings up yours truly to vent. One day while my folks were over visiting, my ma overheard me jawing with Stephanie. Ma pulled Jayda aside, all concerned, asked if she was copacetic with it. Jayda admitted she wasn't tickled pink. But every time she brought it up with me, I'd get my hackles up saying Steph needed our help, that she was going through a rough patch, yada yada. Now my ma, she got bamboozled by my old man back in the day, so she can sniff out a two-timer a mile away. And apparently I was singing the same tune as my no-good dad. Ma wanted to give me a good talking to, so Mom marches into the living room and starts giving me what for. We get into it pretty fierce, I'm ashamed to say. But finally I see the light. I apologize to Jayda. Tell her straight up I didn't realize I was hurting her and messing up our marriage. I try to argue that it's different when Steph cuddles with us versus some random fella. But then my stepdad Mark chimes in, saying it's the same dang thing. If Jayda's not comfortable with it, then that's that. Quit making excuses. And I respect Mark a whole heap, seeing as how he's been more of a father to me than my own deadbeat dad ever was. So I swallow my pride and give Jayda a real sincere apology. Promise to do better. She plants one on me and I figure that's the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. Lately, Stephanie's been ringing me up 3, 4, 8 times a day. Says she's bored and ain't got nobody else to talk to. Jayda's fit to be tied. Calls me out for always answering when Steph calls. Says she's feeling like a third wheel in her own dang marriage. I try to brush it off. Tell her Steph's just lonely and she's making a mountain out of a molehill. That night, Jayda bunks down in the living room. I'm starting to get a funny feeling that Steph's trying to hog all my time. She's yapping my ear off for over an hour each call, belly aching about her life. Almost like she thinks she's my girlfriend or something. It just ain't right. I'm in a real pickle here, folks. This whole situation is putting a real strain on my marriage. I'm at my wit's end trying to figure out where to go from here. Thanks for all the advice, y'all. I'm gonna sit down with Jayda and hash this out, with Ma there to back me up. Jayda's gonna read all your comments real careful-like. Hopefully we can get this sorted out in a couple days. Had that sit down with Jayda. Ma and Mark couldn't make it, I promised to lay it all out on the table. Called up Stephanie and she said we could powwow on Friday when she's not swamped with schoolwork. Says there's something she needs to get off her chest. Guess we'll see what shakes out. Woke up to a text from Steph this morning. Says she wants to have a heart-to-heart with Jayda tonight. Just the two of them. Her schedule opened up. Maybe we can finally clear the air. I'm gonna need a minute here, y'all. Jayda and we're getting a divorce. My heart's in pieces. I'll post an update when I can wrap my head around it all. Thanks for being so understanding. Y'all are spot on. I've been letting Stephanie walk all over my boundaries and disrespecting my wife. That ain't no way to run a marriage. And Jayda's right to be feeling jealous. I've been putting Steph's needs ahead of hers, ahead of the woman I promised to love and cherish till death do us part. Being autistic ain't no excuse for me not doing right by my family. I might miss some social cues now and then, but I dang well know the difference between right and wrong. Letting myself get carried away with feelings for another woman when I'm supposed to be committed to my wife. That's about as wrong as it gets. I can hardly believe it, y'all. James and Stephanie. They've been carrying on behind my back this whole time. We've been together since we were just kids, and this is how he repays me. I thought I knew him. Thought he was being so sweet and caring. But it was all a lie. I'm absolutely gutted. Don't even know if I can bring myself to update y'all anymore. If I do, it'll be after the divorce is final. For now, I need to step back and try to make sense of my life falling apart. One thing's for sure. There ain't no way me and James can co-parent in a healthy way after this betrayal. I'm going for primary custody with supervised visits. And you best believe I'm gonna make dang sure Stephanie never lays eyes on my baby girl again. I'll have the judge put it in writing if I have to. I plumb forgot to mention I called up James's ma and stepdad this morning. They're madder than wet hens at what their boy's done to me. They've kicked him out, and he's shacking up with Stephanie at our old place now. At least he let me come get my stuff without putting up a fuss. He says he'll keep in touch about the divorce. Mighty big of him, considering. Sorry for going radio silent on y'all. Been talking to this lawyer who's helping me out at a cut rate. My in-laws are pitching in for the fees, bless their hearts. They ain't about to let their no-good son off easy. I've got all kinds of evidence piling up. Threatening texts from James and Stephanie. Even one that pretty much admits to blackmail. My lawyer's chomping at the bit to use it against them in court. James keeps running his fool mouth, saying I ought to just give up my rights to our daughter so he can ride off into the sunset with Stephanie. But I shut that down real quick. That little angel's the light of my life, and my only shot at being a mama. After months of postnatal complications, I finally got a clean bill of health from the doc. But he says if I get pregnant again, it could kill me. So this is it for me in the baby department. Going to court for the divorce this Friday. Got a mediator and everything so I don't have to deal with James and his bully tactics directly. My lawyer's a real straight shooter, which I appreciate. My in-laws have washed their hands of James after the way he's disrespected them for taking me in. The way he's jerking me around has them fit to be tied. They've always treated me like their own flesh and blood, so they're just as riled up as I am. That's why they stepped up to help with the lawyer fees, seeing as how I've been home with the baby and not working. They're real stand-up folks. I've been going to therapy 3 times a week now. Get this, I was just diagnosed with DID. Apparently it came out during a session when I blacked out. My therapist and psychiatrist had suspected for a while, but now it's confirmed. I ain't telling James about it, that's for dang sure. My mother-in-law knows, though. She's been my rock through all this mess. And to all those busybodies on Reddit saying I moved out too quick for it to be real, I didn't have much to begin with, and I had to go back for the baby's things. While I was doing that, James and Stephanie had the nerve to go gallivanting off to my dream vacation spot, sent me pictures and everything just to twist the knife. My baby girl's having a tough time adjusting to her daddy not being around. She's fussing up a storm most days, and I'm pretty sure she misses him something fierce. Well, y'all, it's been a wild ride these past few months. I got some good news and some not-so-good news to share. First off, my baby girl is safe with me, and my lawyer came through in a big way. James was in such an all-fired hurry to be done with the divorce. He ended up hanging himself with his own words. I had proof of all his threats and blackmail, trying to force me to sign away my rights to our daughter. The judge was madder than a wet hen when he saw it all. Tore into James and Stephanie something fierce, saying they were lucky I didn't press charges for extortion. With all that bad behavior on record, the judge said he couldn't in good conscience do shared custody, worried they might try to up and run off with my little girl. So I got full custody, with James only getting supervised visits. My mother-in-law, bless her heart, volunteered to oversee the visits until the divorce is final. If James or Stephanie try to contact me about anything other than our daughter, they'll be slapped with a pair of silver bracelets faster than you can say jailbird. Of course, James has to pay child support. He pitched a fit, but it didn't do him no good. Now here's the part that breaks my heart. After the hearing, James says if he can't have primary custody, he's gonna try to terminate his rights altogether. Says he doesn't want to be tied to me no more, even if it means our daughter suffers for it. I swear it's like I don't even know who he is anymore. And Stephanie, well, she dropped a bombshell on me too. Turns out she can't have kids of her own on account of some sickness she had as a teenager. Says she wanted a baby so bad, she was willing to blow up my family to play house with my daughter. The gall of that woman, asking me if I'm happy I tore apart her and James's family. As if she didn't just bulldoze through mine like a wrecking ball. I was so angry, y'all. Wanted to slap her silly. But I held myself back. That's all I got for now. Next update will probably be when this whole divorce mess is finally done. Thanks for sticking with me through it all. I was fixing to post an update after the court hearing on Friday, but then everything went topsy-turvy. 2 days ago, my soon-to-be ex-husband wound up in the hospital. Stephanie called me bawling, saying James tried to OD on his meds. She found him in the nick of time. He's stable now, but they're moving him to another facility for the foreseeable future. Doctors ain't sure how long he'll be there. I know James put me through the ringer, but he's still my baby's daddy. I ain't pressing charges against Stephanie this time around, seeing as how it was a life-or-death situation. Divorce proceedings are on hold for a spell until James gets out. Talked to my lawyer and he said I shouldn't have responded to Stephanie's call, but he gets why I did. James is at a place that specializes in autism and emotional regulation disorders. They're saying at least 30 days, depending on how he takes to the treatment. I'm asking y'all to keep me in your prayers as I try to navigate this whole mess. I got a lot on my plate right now, figuring out emergency care and all. I'll do my best to keep you posted. Thank you kindly for all your support. Well, folks, I know I said I was going to step back for a while, but life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. It's been 2 weeks since James was hospitalized after trying to take his own life. We put the divorce on hold until he gets out, so I've been focusing on spending time with my baby girl and leaning on my in-laws for support. They've been my rocks through all this. I'm still getting used to my DID diagnosis, and I was out of commission for a few days thanks to some heavy-duty painkillers. But I figured y'all deserve to know how this whole saga ends. Brace yourselves, because this is a doozy. Stephanie got herself arrested and slapped with a laundry list of charges: breaking the protective order, aggravated assault, attempted kidnapping, and Lord knows what else. Here's what went down. I was out running errands, minding my own business, when I stopped at this little Italian joint James and I used to go to before everything went sideways. I put in my order and sat down to wait. Next thing I know, Stephanie comes barreling in like a bat out of hell, hollering gibberish at the top of her lungs. Then she starts wailing on me, punching and kicking like a wild animal. When the dust settled, I was a right mess. Broke my nose and arm, fractured my eye socket, even punctured a lung. Stephanie must have realized she'd stepped in it big time, because she tried to make a break for it with my baby in the stroller. Thank the good Lord, some quick-thinking bystander stopped her before she could get away. I came to with police in my hospital room and my mother-in-law holding my daughter. Turns out the cops are pressing charges whether I like it or not, given how bad my injuries were. Not that I'd let Stephanie off the hook anyhow. She's cooling her heels in the county jail as we speak, waiting on her day in court. I just got sprung from the hospital yesterday, and I'm still processing everything that's happened. But I got some more news to share. First off, James is doing better. He's been taking to his treatment, and they're saying he'll be out next Monday. My mother-in-law's been keeping me posted. Seems a bunch of y'all were right on the money. Stephanie took advantage of James's manic episode and him needing a med adjustment. She sweet-talked him into sleeping with her. Well, joke's on her because James dumped her sorry behind and begged his mama to tell me he wants another chance at being my husband. Guess that's why Stephanie went off the deep end and jumped me in broad daylight. Let me be crystal clear. I ain't giving James a do-over. He shattered my trust 6 ways from Sunday, not just by stepping out on me, but by going off his meds and making threats against me and our little girl. The divorce is still on. That being said, I might be open to counseling to talk about custody arrangements. Maybe give James a little more supervised visitation. He's still our daughter's daddy after all. In other news, I landed a job. Found out I got the position the day before I left the hospital. Ain't that a kick in the pants? I haven't had a chance to read all y'all's messages yet, but the ones I have seen, I surely do appreciate. Your kind words mean more than you know, so that's where things stand. Stephanie's locked up tighter than a drum, James is getting his head on straight, and I'm fixing to start my new career. I'll do my best to keep y'all in the loop. Wish me luck and keep those prayers coming. Lord knows I'm gonna need 'em. Just wanted to touch base one more time before I sign off for a spell. I read through some of y'all's comments and I see a few folks getting bent out of shape about me considering more supervised visits for James. I hear where you're coming from, but here's the thing. My lawyer says once James gets out, as long as he's stable and going to mandatory therapy, he can petition the court to review the custody arrangement anyhow. Way I see it, it's easier to play ball now than duke it out down the line. I'm plumb tuckered out from all this drama, and I'd rather agree to longer visits than risk James getting even a sliver of unsupervised time with our daughter. This way, I know my in-laws will step in if he starts acting squirrely. Plus, my lawyer thinks it'll reflect better on me during the divorce if I'm agreeable. Gotta think big picture here. Anyhow, the good news is, Stephanie's behind bars and not likely to see daylight anytime soon. Even her family's clout can't help her worm out of this mess. James just got sprung from the hospital a few days ago. He's back at his place, alone and miserable as a dog who lost his bone. His mama told me he's fixing to sign away his rights altogether once I remarry, if that's what I want. Word is, he's hankering to reconcile, but he knows that ship has sailed. He wants to go back to the way things were before this whole Stephanie fiasco blew up in his face. He ain't fighting me on custody no more. Says he's happy with the visitation he's got. Even agreed to pay child support and alimony to move this divorce along. Guess he's finally wised up to all the damage he's done. See, my own mama stepped out on my daddy when I was just a babe. Tore our family to shreds before I was even old enough to remember. She up and left me when I was only a year old, right after the divorce went through. I can't abide cheaters, not after living through that. They leave nothing but ruined lives in their wake. James knows this. He knew cheating was the one thing I could never forgive. And he did it anyway. Come Friday, I'm sitting down with my lawyer to hash out the terms of the divorce and get the custody agreement in writing. James's folks are helping me get set up in my own place, which is a kindness I surely wasn't expecting. I want to thank each and every one of you for sticking with me through this whole ordeal. Y'all have been a bigger comfort than you know. This is where I leave you for now. Barring any unforeseen catastrophes, I won't be back until the divorce is finalized. The lawyer says it'll take at least 3 months. So this is goodbye for a little while. You'll be in my thoughts and prayers, and I hope you'll keep me in yours. Take care now, and God bless.